Well, let's get started. Thanks so much for taking some time to talk with me today. You know, I want to know a little bit about you. Give me a little bit about your background and kind of your experience in the industry and kind of what brought you here.
Of course. I'm I guess what you call at this juncture a long-time industry veteran. This is my 25th year at Vitro, and most of my career on the what used to be a flat glass business, now we call it the architectural glass business unit. And yeah, born and raised in Monterrey, Mexico. First full job, if you will, or real job, if you will. Well, no, that's not true. I was a school teacher for a couple of years, and that is a real job. It's a different kind of job for sure. I worked a few hours, but I've never been as tired when I got home as I did when I was a school teacher chasing around elementary school kids. But then I joined Vitro, and well, 25 years later, here I am. Lots of ups and downs, very interesting and fulfilling career, and that's I guess a little bit about myself. I don't know if you want any other particulars.
No, so you said you were a school teacher. What was that like? What did you teach?
So I taught economics to high school seniors, and then it was type of a civics course to every single student in a once-a-week class from 5th grade to high school. So yeah, I couldn't be anywhere around town without somebody calling me teacher. And we just to give a session a week and then team them up with after-school activities. They used to go to special needs school or just a type of work that they could do, social activities. And yeah, it was very, very interesting times. But yeah, that was the first job that I got out of college.
Okay. Is there anything you think that you learned or that you took away from being a teacher that you now apply to being here at Vitro?
I guess so. Obviously, you need to catch the attention. It's a tough audience, kids. So you have to be creative as how you put out your message and try to capture an audience. And obviously, I get to do that. Here and there in my current job. So yeah, definitely the public speaking part of it, just getting to be, I want to say the right word is entertaining, but engaging maybe when you try to put out your message. So yeah, I think there's a lot to learn by being a school teacher. Patience is the other one. You need to learn a lot of patience, which always comes in handy, especially when issues arise.
One of the biggest, I think, news stories this industry's ever heard was, almost 10 years ago when Vitro acquired PPG, the flat glass business. So what has that transformation been like this almost 10 years now, and kind of, how has the company changed since then?
Yeah, so yeah, it'll be 10 years October of 2026, so I know the date exactly well. It's been definitely a change for us. I think Vitro was very good manufacturing company, always has been, but really focused on the execution manufacturing piece of it. We were very focused on the glass container side up until 2015. And then in 2015, we sold the majority of our glass container division. We still do glass containers for cosmetics and toiletry mainly, and also just high-end liquor bottles that entail a lot of decoration, which is similar to what you would do for a perfume or a toiletry. But we sold all of our food and beverage glass container division and paid off all of our company debt, and now we're sitting on cash and looking at what direction we would take the company in. And I think the perfect opportunity arose for us. PPG had shifted their focus away from the glass industry and more into the paints and chemical side, and I think they stopped seeing their glass business as a core part of their business and as a long-term play, and whereas we saw it as the piece that we could make our core business. And I think we were right. I think on the glass container side, we were sort of too late to the party. They were already global players just to engage. We saw the architectural glass business as a more regional play. It's your global scale really doesn't help a lot in just being successful in wherever you participate at. So so we made that big jump, big shift, and it was a big shift in many directions. It was just changing focus from glass containers into the flat glass side or the architectural glass side, and also a shift in focus from being very good operationally to not only being very good operationally, but also being very focused on value-added products and obviously glass coatings. We bought the preeminent player and was the most original and inventive companies in their glass coatings part of the business. We didn't have that at Vitro, and we saw like it would take us decades and decades to approach that without the acquisition. So we were really lucky that PPG was sort of available in the marketplace. I won't say it was in the market, but it was their management has shifted focus, and we were interested in it. And we're very happy with the acquisition. 10 years later, I think obviously nothing comes without its ups and downs, but we're very happy where we're at today, and we're very happy that we did that acquisition, and now that the combination of both companies, I think, has a lot of strengths and also kept its uniqueness in a lot of ways. So we're really happy with it.
Okay. So what do you think have been some of the biggest, or some of the biggest challenges, and then also some of the biggest successes or achievements throughout this process?
Sure. Yeah. So it was, again, a little bit of a sudden change in philosophy, and I think we also came in, and I think one of the things we did well was we didn't try to change what was being done well. So we didn't come in and say like, hey, nobody knows nothing, this is how we're gonna do things. We came in and absorbed and said like, okay, what does PPG do well? We want to definitely continue doing that, and what does Vitro bring to a table from its own expertise, and sort of combining the best of both worlds. And I think we were able to do that, but we were met with some challenges. Just I was making a little bit of recount and thinking back 9 years ago, and I think 8 of our 11 leadership team people retired within a couple of years. And it's not that we wanted them gone; they just retired in the industry. So our engineering, our R&D, our operations VP, our supply chain VP, our international business VP, all of them retired. And so we had to shift just almost on the run, and had to adapt to a leadership change, and I think we did that well. I think we were very inclusive in including legacy PPG people as well as Vitro people. So that was challenging in itself, but I think in general, people from the legacy embraced us because we brought focus, attention, and investment towards the company. The company was being sort of let go a little bit adrift, and not a lot of focus was put into it. And when we came and we made this company our core business, I think people felt valued and seen again, and engaged and excited. So that was good. And then just obviously just a little bit more than a year into the acquisition, or maybe not even a year, our Carlisle facility burns down, and that was some interesting times. Certainly, that's not the way you want to start your tenure, but it made us stronger in a lot of ways. So we had to just do things and work hard and recover from that, and I think we're a much stronger company after that. But that was definitely a huge setback that we had to recover from.
Yeah. So when you talk about innovation, I would say that we would all look at Vitro and agree, this is a company that's on top of innovation and has done a lot of great things in terms of product development that have been very successful as a business, as a company. But what about for you personally? When you think about success for yourself, how do you define that or judge? When do you feel like, I feel good about this? This is a success.
I think I don't know that you ever just relax and say like, hey, we've done it. But obviously, it's about trends and progress, and knowing that you're executing your plan accordingly. And we set out every year. We carve out 2 days and do an offsite meeting and plan for the next 5 years. And then we come up with the strategic pillars and start putting objectives to it and KPIs and what have you. And I'm very pleased that for the past 6-7 years, you see what we come out of those sessions. It's not very different from the last year and the last year and the last year. We've been very consistent. We said, like, this is what we want to do. This is what we want to do better. And we've been very, very consistent on executing. And we've been very, very patient and disciplined about just going about what we need to do. So that makes me feel well or good, just knowing that we're sort of staying the course and doing things right. And I think I've said this before, even in some interviews, like, what do I call success? If whenever I'm done with this, and hopefully it's not for a while, that I can hand over this company back to whoever will run it or the ownership group and say, like, I'm giving you back a better company that I inherited. And I think we're on the path to do that. And there's always challenges, always adventures, but I think we've set ourselves up for a great success, both in the short term and in the long term.
Okay. Giving back a company, kind of like what you're saying, made me think, giving back a company that's kind of better than it started with, that kind of moves us into the next thing I want to talk about, which is sustainability, or as everybody's used the word we're all using now is circularity. So just talk a little bit about how you're incorporating some of that into, not only the products that you're creating, but kind of the practices as a company as a whole.
Of course. So I'll start with the manufacturing end. Obviously, we were the ones who invented the oxy-fuel technology for glass melting furnaces. I think we started probably with one furnace and then two furnaces. Now I'm proud to say we're bringing back up one of the mid-build PA furnaces that we have, and it used to be a air-fired furnace, or just a normal furnace, and now we're bringing it up back as an oxy-fuel tank. So now we'll actually have 4 of our 7 US float glass furnaces be oxy-fuel technology. That's important to us. And it's not only important for us for the environment, don't get me wrong, that's key part of it, and in sustainability, that's key for mine. But it also allows us to navigate a little bit of the even output and permit perspectives. By being able to have oxy-fuel, we're actually able to use the tank more efficiently. So not only is it sustainable, it's also more efficient for us. And we're very proud of that. Our manufacturing footprint, it's better than anyone's in terms of its carbon footprint, and doing this investment in mid-build. And again, every time that I have to repair a furnace, I always look at it, is there an opportunity to make it an oxy-fuel tank, which just consumes less carbon. It's just a fact. We consume less natural gas and burn less carbon and emit less carbon, and we always want to be on that track. There's things that we can still do in the future. Some of them will take a lot of investments and maybe are in a longer term range, but we're looking at all kinds of stuff in terms of sustainability. How do we get almost to a net zero dream? And I think it's not a dream. I think it's something that we can do. We have a lot of initiatives on that. Obviously, there's an economic reality to what you can do, and we're taking that path with a long-term view. But I think there's a lot more that we can do on the manufacturing end, and on the product end, same thing. I think if there's one thing that's a given, and you can have a different political climate and a different temporary view of things. But in the long term, the trends on building codes and the stringency of being able to meet with sustainability objectives, that always has an upward trend. The question is, how fast does it get, or how steep does the curve? But throughout history, it's always on that trend. So we believe that it will continue to be that, whether this year, next year, in 10 years, in 5 years. So we don't see it coming back anywhere. We see it just continue to be more strict, and we love that, frankly. Maybe some of our competitors don't, but we're all for innovation and newer products and value-added products and new generation of products. So hopefully it continues that. For us, it'd be great. Just we'll come up with just continue to ask of the industry to be better and to be more sustainable and to collaborate to the energy conservation, and we're all for it. So we're excited about the future, and there's a lot of energy demand. Obviously, it's very in vogue, that topic of energy consumption from data centers and what have you, and we don't have enough supply in the US. So there's 2 ways to attack the problem. You can just ramp up your supply, which takes a while, whatever route you want to take it. But you can also curtail demand by being more sustainable in our buildings, which is a huge source of energy consumption. So I think we need to attack it from all fronts. We need to be more sustainable, to lower the demand of energy through the use of glass and energy efficient glass. And then we can also obviously need to invest as a country in energy supply, which I know that there's a big focus of everyone now. Mm-hmm. So I think we need to do our part.
Okay. And so that's, you've covered really well what's happening on the manufacturing side. And then I think the other side that we're talking a lot about or seeing more of is what's happening on the installation side. And the fact that we have, as a country, or here in the US in particular, so many either vacant buildings or old buildings or just poor, inefficient buildings. And there's a great opportunity there to upgrade and make them much better buildings. And I know that Vitro has been involved with a number of adaptive reuse type projects. And I mentioned the RIDC, which is just nearby here, which I think is a great project. I actually visited there a couple of years ago. But so I guess when did you kind of start seeing that happening, that shift on the installation side?
Yeah, so I think it's always been there to some extent. I think it gets accelerated as again, energy demands and requirements grow, as buildings get older, as some local regulations or even state or federal regulations get in the way. You see Local 97 in New York just implementing fines on buildings and posting their energy efficient grade and the buildings, and that has an impact on the amount of rent you're able to charge. So those are all incentives to just renovate and renew your efforts. And it's not only from the glass side. Obviously, glass plays a part in it. It's HVAC and it's everything else that goes into making these buildings a little bit more modern. But I think we have great solutions for that. Obviously, just a regular family of low E or MSBD coatings does a lot to help, like put in a solar by 90 on an IG unit versus monolithic buildings, some of these older buildings. Obviously, that makes a ton of difference. But there's also other solutions that we're obviously working on and promoting, and we're very bullish on the vacuum insulated glass, and obviously that can be sort of almost a monolithic type glass to just slot in there in some of these older buildings that would make a ton of difference. So we're definitely seeing that. Again, regions in particular of the country or cities in particular with this focus and this focus because of necessity again. When you talked about energy needs, so either you renovate these buildings and sort of step it up, or you won't have enough energy to provide your constituents or your citizens. So sometimes it's almost a need. But I think we're well positioned to capture that as an industry, as Vitro, and there's technologies out there that will take us to the next generation, which we're very bullish on.
Okay. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk some about kind of the current economic environment that we're in right now and some of the challenges that you see for the glass industry.
So I think the challenge for the glass industry, it's not a new challenge. It's an inherent challenge that we've had forever, and it starts with our manufacturing process. We have this massive, capital-intensive furnaces that you want to build a new furnace, and it probably costs you $200 million or so, and so you sank a lot of money into those type of investments. You turn it on, and then you run it 24/7, 365 for 13, 15, 17 years. And that's a very efficient way to produce, because it's just, you can massively produce glass this way. And it's very efficient if you're sold out. If you're sold out, it's a great way to do it. Like, we just keep pumping out glass. But if you're not sold out, you still have people that need to man the lines 24/7. Gas is going into the furnace 24/7. All of your expenses, or a large chunk of your expenses, are fixed costs, and that probably is fine in an industry that has this trend forever. Our industry doesn't have this trend. Our industry have ups and downs. And what happens when there's a down? Okay, so there's more capacity and demand. We can't sell out our facilities. And that creates a problem. That makes a very efficient manufacturing process a very inefficient one now. And the temptation to be short-sighted and try to sell out your capacity when there's not a market to be sold into, that's what I think has always gotten the industry into trouble. And I'm not one to judge the industry as a whole or our competitors, but you see what has happened. You see very historical players that have dwindled in size, that have disappeared. And I think it's a consequence of just years and years of settling for short-sighted solutions, and it's a tough industry to thrive, especially if you're not ultra disciplined in how you go about it. And I think we've tried to maintain that discipline and that focus and sell into markets where we are recognized for our work. And it's easier said than done, but I think that's just a very inherent challenge of our industry itself. But hey, we're resilient if nothing else.
Yeah, and that, one of the other current challenges that everybody's talking about is kind of what's happening with the tariffs and things like that. There's much more focus on U.S. Manufacturing and things like that. So how has that, or what has that, brought to light for you as far as more focus on manufacturing? Do you think it's something that you'll be looking at?
So we're already looking at it. We're not shy about investing in the U.S. and in U.S. manufacturing. We're a believer. Mm-hmm. So right now, I just came back yesterday from a mid-build PA plant. We've invested or almost wrapping up investments of close to $120 million, or even a little bit more than that, on starting up an idle line, setting up offline operations to source the solar panel market out of that facility. So we're bringing that tank up. We're also bringing up an idle tank in Carlisle, PA, investing more than $70 million there. We've invested between acquisitions and CapEx since Vitro took over PPG in 2016, $1.8 billion of investments in either in acquisitions or CapEx investments in the U.S. So we're not shy about investing in the U.S. We like participating here in this marketplace. And as far as tariffs go, hey, it does give us efficiencies to be able to participate in several geographies, Mexico in particular. I think through different trade agreements, we're not being too impacted by tariffs from Mexico, but we're ready to do it either way. Like I don't want to get into politics here, but if the U.S. policy is to be more domestically sourced and motivate for manufacturing investments, we're ready. 95 or 97% of the products that we sell, we're able to sell them in the U.S. Manufacture in the U.S. Mm-hmm. Sometimes by choice, we manufacture in Mexico. The same way that I am producing products in the U.S. and selling into Mexico, because you want to utilize your system in the best way possible. But if we have to, if we only can manufacture in the U.S., there's no impact whatsoever in the way that we operate. We're ready for it. We have made the investments, and we can source the entire U.S. market and the entire marketplace just with the operation that we have in the U.S. So I don't think it affects us or impacts it too much. Now, the one thing that I will say about this is, if we do the investments in the U.S. and we put in a bunch of capital that we need to then return back to our shareholders, if we hire a lot of people, we have, as Vitro, we have more than 2,400 employees in the U.S. So if we're going to do the investments, we're going to hire the people, you do expect fair competition. And I think that's been a little bit of a focus, frankly, that we've promoted as Vitro and as an industry recently, is just asking our trade commissions and our commerce departments to look at unfair trade practices from particularly China and Southeast Asia, Malaysia. And recently there were preliminary anti-duty and countervailing duties that are applied to those type of products. And I think that's something that we push for. We push not only for us. I think the imports of flat glass are relatively small, and they definitely do impact us and have impacted us. But it's more on our customers' end, the fabrication piece. You looked at segments that were very strong in the U.S. and don't exist anymore. Like talk about just furniture glass, tabletops. There used to be a huge industry for that. There's nothing remaining of that. And if we just allow that to continue that trend, first it was tabletops, and then it was shower doors, and tomorrow, who knows? And so we are very mindful of that, and I'm very proud to say that we're defending the industry, not Vitro, but the industry as a whole. And I hope that the industry reaps the benefits of this and can again start manufacturing some of the types of glass that used to be U.S. and domestically sourced and have ceased to do that because of again just unfair trade practices. So that's important to us, and I think as an industry we should all be aligned behind that.
That's great. Just a couple more questions, and I'm going to switch gears one more time to talk a little bit about architects, everybody's favorite subject. A lot of times, I know that a lot of products are often developed because architects have requests or they want, can you do this, or I want a glass that does that, and sometimes it's really great and you're able to develop, you know, a fantastic product, and then sometimes they have very extreme requests that are, how do we do that?
I think we welcome that for the most part. Again, us in particular as a company, you come up with something that we might be the only ones who do it, or we are the ones that might uniquely do it or do it better than somebody else. And maybe if you speak to some of my engineers or especially supply chain people who need to inventory another product, their answer would be different. But from my perspective, the more diverse, the more complexity, the better. So I welcome any crazy idea from architects. And I think it goes a little bit both ways, because sometimes, yes, the ideas come back from architects, but sometimes it comes from our marketing team and from our R&D team that say like, hey, why are we doing this? Or us being in a few different markets, we can draw from what we're doing in other markets and say like, hey, we're doing this type of coating for automotive. Would that go in, have a practical use in architecture? And we go into an architect and motivate that. So I think it's a two-way street. Sometimes you get the input back from the architect. Sometimes you need to sort of open their eyes to what is possible with glass. So we enjoy the dynamic. I think we cater to architects. Frankly, we have a whole group. What we call architectural managers, or NAMs, we call National Architectural Managers, and they scour the country, reaching out to architects, making sure that our product is well known, that they're able to spec our product and know that they'll be able to install it in their buildings with quality and with the standard that we're recognized for. So we love working with architects in summary.
Okay, so last question, if you're looking ahead, you know, looking at where we are now, looking ahead maybe the next few years, what are your predictions, expectations, hopes, you know, whether for the company, for the industry, you know, kind of where do you see things headed?
Oh, I wish I had a crystal ball. But I think, again, our industry has ebbs and flows, and we're probably a little bit in a downtrend in terms of interest rates being up, a little bit of uncertainty surrounding large investments. A house is a large investment. A car is a large investment. Obviously, a building is a large investment, and people don't like uncertainty. But at the end of the day, people settle in. People start regaining confidence. People get used to any economic adversity, and we start growing again. And that's always been the case, and we'll see some more growth. And when we see some growth, there'll be very interesting opportunities for all of us in the industry. So as I start off when I talked about Vitro's shift into the architectural glass world, we see this as a very regional business. We don't see this as a global business. You need to be there for your customers. You need to be there to tend to them in your particular region and location. So we think that this industry has legs and will always be here, and we're ready to go on that ride. And again, I have very high hopes for what we do here as a company, and I've always been bullish about the industry. It's again, if nothing else, we're very resilient people. We're fighters. We find a way, and not only us, the industry as a whole, and we'll continue to do so.
Okay, I have to ask you one more, thinking about the future.
Sure.
What about AI? Where do you see that coming into, whether it's the industry as a whole, how you can use it as a company? What impact do you think that's going to have on the glass industry?
So it will definitely have an impact. Obviously, a very simple use case, well, not simple, but a very obvious use case is just how on the manufacturing. So machine learning, we were very early in the game in really applying sensors to all of our equipment and machinery. So we have the infrastructure to be able to have those machines learn and automate, and there's always going to be a human element to it, but the more that you can sort of subtract the art from it and insert the science and data to it, I think the better that will be and the more efficient that will be. So that's a very simple use case that I'm sure both ourselves and our competitors are sort of embarking on that path. And then it'll be very interesting, and I know you're interviewing Fernando from our marketing side later on, but I think there's also has to be different approaches and different ways to go to market. The way that we do it today is probably evolving. The way you reach architects is probably evolving. So we need to be very mindful of how to reach the next generation of architects and stakeholders and customers. So yeah, it's fast evolving, and there will be use cases both on the manufacturing end and also on the go-to-market end.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. That's all I've got.
Thank you.
Thanks.